Welcome to the Hollywood Outsider, an award-winning weekly entertainment podcast. In this episode, we're discussing the threat of the return of MoviePass, a pair of reviews for Kimi and Death on the Nile, but mostly our entire episode this week is about doing the one thing no one seems able to do anywhere ever anymore. We're going to admit we were wrong. Wrong. Especially the other guys, not me. Let's get on with the show. My name is Aaron Peterson. Joining me today are my fellow host, John Davenport.
Hey, buddy. How you doing today?
I mean, we'll see how it goes by the end, because I'm not used to this. Troy Heinrichs, who I know is not very good at admitting he's wrong.
I was going to say, I'm glad you said everybody. I thought he was going to pointedly do that intro towards me specifically.
And also, we're actually recording this on Valentine's Day, and Amanda is not here because she heard what the topic was, and it scared the hell out of her, so she said, no way. So we brought the Love Doctor, who's also a Patreon supporter. Stan, do you want us to use your last name? I don't know if there's some kind of medical.
Oh, it doesn't matter to me. I have nothing to hide.
Okay. Stanley Daniel, thanks for coming back. You've been on the show before, but thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me back, guys. It's good to be here. And, I was wrong once, but I was actually wrong about that. So, this should be fun.
Nice. Well, that is going to be our entire topic. We just thought it'd be fun to talk about stuff that we're wrong about. We've got a bunch of stuff from listeners who kind of fed us from movie and TV, things that they've been wrong about through the years. And we're picking a bunch of those that are also pretty, I think, prominent by a lot of people's viewpoints. So that should be interesting. And before we get into that, just a quick PSA. Marvel Netflix shows are leaving Netflix on March 1st. Odds are they'll end up on Hulu here in the States, Disney Plus overseas. As of now, nothing official. No word on if Disney's going to edit them, whatever the case may be. But just letting you know, if you really want to see Jessica Jones or The Punisher beat the ever-loving shit out of everyone he's ever seen, you want to hurry up and watch it on Netflix now, because Disney's going to Disney-fy that, I'd guess.
Are you assuming they're coming to Hulu because of the darker graphic nature of them, more FX-like?
Yes. Do you really think that Disney Plus in the States, not Canada and everywhere else, because apparently they get the darker Disney, they get Disney Dark. We don't get that. Do you really think they're going to allow that on Disney Plus?
Is that like princesses and stuff doing weird things in the background of the Cinderella's castle?
NC-17.
It's that room you never see up top in the spire?
Mm-hmm.
You got to pay extra for that spire.
Yeah, that's an NFT.
It makes sense why the priest had a boner in Little Mermaid now, I guess.
Whoa. It's not that kind of show.
It wasn't me this time. It wasn't me.
It's a true fact. You could go watch it yourselves.
Yes,
so
but it
perfect.
wasn't me.
So anyway, so that's
Aaron's one that brought up Disney After Dark. I'm just saying.
I said Disney Dark. I didn't say After Dark. That's a completely different channel that I would totally watch.
Disney Red Shoes,
like
the Red
the
Shoes
adult
Diaries?
version of all Disney films. I think that would be interesting.
Oh, I'm sure they're out there.
Oh yeah, they are. Just in case you're wondering, they are. I've heard rumors that they exist.
I guess it's a branding thing. That's a question, right? Because if the Marvel channel is on Disney Plus, then how do they have a Marvel channel on Hulu, and what goes where? I think it's a conundrum that they're going to have to sort through.
Well, they've already started sorting through that. Some of the darker Marvel stuff is already on Hulu. You've got the assassin monkey that I can't remember his actual name from, the cartoon where he kills everybody. That's on there.
What was the one with Patton Oswalt as the voice, MODOK?
Yep, that's on Hulu.
That's the name of it, right? MODOK?
Well, it's MODOK, not MODOK.
Now, I guess the question is, are those Marvel properties, or are they like Marvel Studio official branded content?
Those are Marvel properties. They're not being brought into the MCU per se, although I think MODOK is actually going to show up in the next Ant-Man movie. But like the Assassin Monkey, Hit Monkey, that's what it is, Assassin Monkey. I got them going way too hard. But Hit Monkey is definitely a Marvel property. So
I kind of like Assassin Monkey. It's
all
catchy.
Right.
Let's go with that. Stepping aside from that, I do want to mention Ivan Reitman passed away. I don't know if you guys saw that. Like, it happened.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Just earlier, but producer of Animal House, directed Stripes, Ghostbusters. He's a fantastic comedy. Evolution, that movie just is underappreciated in my opinion.
And he worked with his son on the that Apple commercial with the snowman recently.
Yeah, well,
that was super cute.
And he was a producer on Ghostbusters Afterlife. So, I mean, he's just a prolific director.
Well, we just need to say Stripes. That's it. Stripes is like
Stripes is it, not Ghostbusters?
Well, Ghostbusters is great, but I mean, like Stripes is like a whole other level.
Yeah, but there's a
It's
lot
just-
of people who haven't watched Stripes.
They all just
They all
deserve to go
suck.
to another planet.
Yeah.
because
That's probably true, but
I
we're
don't wanna
trying to
hang out
connect
with
with people here, Troy.
I don't want to connect with them. You can't even watch Stripes? I mean, come on. It's one of the best comedies of all time.
Best comedies of all time.
See,
You know,
That's the fact.
nobody's
Jack.
arguing. There's 4 people. Nobody's arguing this fact. So everybody else is wrong if they think otherwise. That's what we're going with.
All right.
I was not wrong about Stripes being the best comedy.
Wait. The best?
Oh, that's
Hang-
for later.
hang on.
That's for later.
Hang on.
All right.
Not
Yeah.
the best. One of. Fletch is the best comedy of all time.
I'll buy that for $1.
RoboCop's the best comedy of all time.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be amazing if somebody actually put out a top 10 list and that was the number 1 comedy, because I laughed a lot.
I mean, we know Die Hard's the number 1 Christmas movie, so
Amen.
Goddamn right it is. Let's go into some movie and TV discussions so we can get to the wrong topic. Movie Pass is making a comeback next summer. Not only do we still have PTSD from the stupid app, I used to plug it just religiously, and then they decided to completely destroy all enjoyment of it by coming out and saying $10 and everybody can get it. And then the platform bombed and lost all their money and went kaput. But this next version is going to have credits you build up for tickets. And that with the new version of Movie Pass, you can watch ads to earn credits that go toward free movies. So your phone camera will actually track your eyeballs to make sure you're actually watching it. And they're saying, quote unquote, what it does is it basically creates a transaction between you and the brand. Troy, do you want to give this thing access to your eyeballs?
no. And this sounds very similar to an app that we used to know of called Viggle, Viggle. It was an app back in 2013 that you basically started the app, you'd watch the TV show, and it used the audio of your microphone on the phone to know that you were actually watching the TV show or movie.
Wow.
And then as you did that, it earned points, and you could use those points to shop at your favorite, Kohl's, Target, Walmart, etc. So it's not like this is anything new. This has been done before. So it's just using the camera now instead of the microphone. And it didn't work back then, and it's not going to work now.
All right. How many people are going to actively try to watch commercials? 'Cause I know I've been trying to avoid commercials for years now.
Everything in my entertainment existence these days is about avoiding commercials. Like one of my the things that I'm wrong about is based on avoiding commercials, and it's it really pains me. I think I watched the Super Bowl commercials last night, and that's the first time I've watched a commercial probably since the last time I watched the Super Bowl.
And let's be clear, that's only because you were too fat from all the food you were eating to get up to avoid the commercials.
Well, no, part of it was watching it. I legitimately enjoy some of the Super Bowl commercials. I don't know what most of the products are for, but some of them are actually entertaining.
I just like seeing Pete Davidson gets creamed every night. I watched that on repeat a couple times just for the hell of it.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that's for Kate Beckinsale, and that's for How do you do it?
I'm pretty sure we can figure it out pretty quick. It ends with a thud.
But I mean, the Viggle app, the difference here is that the Viggle app paid you to watch stuff you wanted to watch. This is going to pay you for stuff you have no desire to watch at all.
But
just to get free stuff.
But would you watch more ads if you actually got financial incentive? I mean,
No.
take Movie Pass away. They're going to give you a nickel every time you watch an ad. You wouldn't watch more ads?
No.
No.
They give you $1 for every ad.
No. I
Maybe.
get this now. It's called
John's for sale.
open up the magic box in the iPhone app or Android app inside the game, right? You watch this video to play for 5 more minutes. Like that 30 seconds, I'd rather wait 5 minutes to go start the next round than watch the stupid ad. It doesn't work.
If it's $1 a pop, I might go for it. Because
Yeah, it's not going to be that much. I mean,
right.
I'd watch
Of
every
course
ad
not.
6 times.
Right.
I mean, it might be $1 a pop because Movie Pass is known for just burning through money. So
That is true. That is true. I don't even know why we included Troy in this conversation. He watches everything at like 1.5 speed. So
Yeah, there you go. I'm earning $1 faster than everybody else.
by the way, I tried doing that because I haven't actually done it. I've done it on podcasts. I've never done it on Netflix because Troy keeps saying it doesn't disrupt your enjoyment at all. It looks insane, man. I have no idea how you can enjoy watching something at 1.5 speed because it's like watching skitter steps. I mean, it's like bzz, bzz, everything's moving twice as fast, it feels like. And a guy leaps to the other side of the room and then he talks normal. And then he leaps to the other side of the room and then he talks normal. I mean, it's just, I don't understand how you can enjoy that.
You know, that reminds me back in the days of Betamax where you had the two different kind of Betamax for a while.
Throwback.
Where you had the one with the cartridge that pops up and then there was another one where you inserted the cartridge into it. But for whatever reason, if you took something that was recorded on the cartridge that pops up and put it into the one with the cartridge that, if you get what I'm saying, it would speed up the video every single time. So we had a recording of Ghost at one point that we would watch it at 1.5 times speed, if not 2 times speed. And it made Ghost so much more enjoyable when I was 10 years old. Let me tell you.
That's what I'm telling you. They're just stuff that's just slow enough that if you just crank it up that half step.
Did you say Ghost?
Yeah.
So the pottery scene is like he's oiling her up like twice as fast. That was your...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's like... and then done.
I don't know what that was, but...
We're men. We don't have time to wait around. Let's get to it.
Wow. I got
Foreplay,
I got
what's
nothing. I got nothing. Okay, anything else on Movie Pass?
Troy's like, I don't even bother spitting on it. I just jam it right in there. What?
Seriously. That's always... You always have to go one step too far.
He was talking about the clay pot. You're the one that took it the wrong way.
No,
Jeez.
one step. And sometimes it's not even one. I think it's like 8.
That's Troy's got my back.
Although last week Knockers did make me laugh out loud. Just so you know.
We're glad yours are here too, Aaron.
Yeah, I feel it. So, in terms of Movie Pass, I mean, coming back to it, are we in agreement that it's one of the most mishandled app disasters of all time, and because of that, it would be near impossible to even get your buyback? But this doesn't sound like it's even close to one that would get you interested.
Yeah, I mean, change the name. Like, MoviePass is already a failed brand. You're not going to get anybody to come back to something that's named something that failed so disastrously. Like, and just call it something different and make it new. Like, it's
Movie
the branding.
fans.
It's a fail from the start because of the branding.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Sounds just like Miles Teller.
That poor
Miles
bastard.
Teller.
Oh yeah, poor him.
I can't wait for them to meet in person one day.
He's failing upwards.
It's going to be South by Southwest. Aaron's going to be at the bar, drinking away, halfway drunk because he spent some day at a whole Lord of the Rings experience over at South by Southwest.
That'd be cool.
And then he's been drinking that Elven ale the whole time. And then, he's like, wow, this stuff actually tastes good. I don't have a headache or anything. And then he shows up at the bar for something else and trips over Charlize Theron. And there's Miles Teller. And he's not going to be able to stop himself from going, God, I hate you.
I wouldn't say I hate.
Why is Charlize Theron on the floor for him to trip over?
They're all drinking. I don't know. Why don't you ask her?
Great story. I mean, she's very elegant. I don't think she'd be on the floor. That would be just weird. She might trip me on purpose. That makes more sense. Why are you here? You do not have access. You should not be in this building. This close to me. Get away from me.
Well, she tripped you to save you from bumping into Miles Teller if you
Right,
went one more
there's that
step
too.
further.
Mhm.
She was looking out for your best interests.
Right.
So, Stan, I know you don't want to step on all of our well-articulated toes. So, would you go to Movie Pass? I mean, you're a doctor. You probably don't need to. We're poor, so.
No, I have, so the local, we have Cinemark here in Louisville, and they have their own version of their movie club that I enroll in, and you get a free, or a quote free ticket, but it's it's like $6 and you get a ticket that rolls over and you get concession discounts. So I just got the impression that every sort of theater chain had their own version of this at this point in time. So I don't know how MoviePass can even sort of wiggle its way back into the market.
Charge $4.99. Just go halvesies.
We promise we won't go under this time.
Yeah. we've got a better plan. Just watch these ads. You know you want to watch them. Who hasn't wanted to watch a Dorito commercial? Seriously, I'd do it for $1.
Cheap date.
Speaking of ads, the Super Bowl was just recently. By the time you guys are listening to it, it's a few days, but you've seen probably most of the trailers by now. They had trailers for Nope, Lord of the Rings, Jurassic Park Dominion, The Atom Project, Dr. Evil made a weird-ass return for electric cars for some reason. Any of those really wow you this year, or did it feel underwhelming?
Well, I watched them all this morning before we recorded on a long loop, just so that because I didn't watch the game last night. Dr. Evil one was fun, and then the Larry David one was actually hysterical because of what we're doing today, or on the recording. But I gotta say, I really can't wait for especially after seeing the trailer, the Doctor Strange movie. That one's gonna be amazing.
It's got a pretty big cameo reveal in the trailer. It seems that I was a little, I'm not going to say who it is, because if somebody's trying to avoid trailers, I don't want to ruin that for them. On the same token, I'm like, that feels huge. Why would you put that in the trailer? I mean, it's not like people aren't going to go see Doctor Strange.
Well, I think
say who it is, though. Don't say who it is.
I won't say who it is, but I'm going to say that I think this is one of those Marvel messing with your head kind of things they do in their trailers. They definitely do hint at the fact of who the people in general sitting in those chairs are a certain group in Marvel that have a specific name to them that Doctor Strange is a part of. But I think that's what it's going to end up being, one of these side steps that they're doing just to mess with us in a trailer.
And then Tom Cruise pops up as the new Iron Man.
Yeah, it's one of the
rumors, right? The multiverse rumor.
That's one of the rumors right now. People are like, I saw Tom Cruise in there. No, you did not. And if you did, he's underneath the cape.
He's probably underneath the table. He's not very tall. You wouldn't see him standing arm shoulder to shoulder to Doctor Strange.
Well, this is the first time that Marvel has dropped a big character reveal in a trailer. And if you go back to Ragnarok, I mean, I don't think there was any reveal in any of their advertisements that's bigger than that. People are still mad about that one. Yeah.
That's true. I mean, that is true. Sure, they pull the rug out from under us here and there, but man, that was a big one. I really wish I hadn't seen before I went into it.
Did you guys watch the What If series?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering if that's going to tie into the multiverse, and if so, what way, or if it's just a neat little side project they have going. I was actually pleasantly surprised by What If, but according to that trailer,
there's a direct tie according to that trailer. Yeah, which I think is awesome. It's one of those things that Marvel's doing right as far as tying things back and forth to each other. You think the What If series doesn't mean much, but now it's turning into, it's going to end up meaning something, and I'm excited for that. Yeah,
I was excited about Nope. Nope was my favorite movie trailer of all of them. I mean, Lord of the Rings, I was like, you could do better, but I wasn't disheartened by it. But Nope came out, and as soon as I went and watched the full trailer, I thought it looks fantastic. I have no idea what it's about. It looks like people staring in the sky. Maybe it's aliens. Maybe it's something else. I figure it's Jordan Peele. It's going to be something else. It's going to be something weird and wild. But the more and more I watch that trailer, the more and more excited I got about. I have no idea. I think Nope means nope. You don't know what it's about. That's honestly what I think it is.
I think the YouTube trailer for Nope was better than what they aired during the Super Bowl. Because I think the Super Bowl was the shorter 30-second version.
Yeah, it was.
And it just didn't. I was like, when I saw it, I was like, yep, nope. Not going to go see that.
Yeah, but then you go watch the long one and you're like,
there's a long one, and you're kind of like, oh, okay.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it got me.
It was definitely my favorite as well. Even if it is simply a alien horror film, when was the last time we had a good one of those?
I'm all about alien horror.
Yeah.
What was the last good one, though? I mean, yeah.
Independence Day?
I'm thinking maybe Signs.
Yeah, Signs probably.
Signs was a good one. Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people will debate.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
10 Cloverfield Lane.
Mel Gibson was popular then.
Yeah. Cloverfield was the one I was going to bring up, but I know we're going to talk about it later.
See, Cloverfield wasn't a horror movie, though.
Well, the first one was a kaiju movie, and the other one was a horror movie.
Yeah. 10 Cloverfield 10 Cloverfield Lane was more like suspense than horror.
I mean, it scared me. I've met guys like that. They never try to keep me in a
Sometimes
bunker.
you are a guy like that.
Not anymore. I'm getting too old for that. To be held
Getting too
captive
old
like
for
that.
that.
Just not.
Going up and down ladders, it's just too much.
So I get winded.
He's never been that close to Selma Hayek.
That would be amazing.
True statement. I thought the Lord of the Rings looked great. I think it was finally time that we actually saw some footage of what this bazillion-dollar thing is going to be like. We saw the 2 trees, which was amazing. I think it just was like, it came on, and the minute I saw the giant statue in the water, I was like, everybody shut up. And we just sat there.
Shut up. Just shut up. Everyone just shut up right now.
Can I ask? I saw a lot of people on the internets, which is, the first problem. You shouldn't pay any attention to those people. But who are just like coming after saying it looks like crap. It looks, I don't get it. I'm like, there's a minute and you don't get anything except short clips. So how do you have any opinion whatsoever? And then some people were saying looks too woke, which I really don't understand that. I'm like, what's woke about it?
It's got elves that happen to have a very dark tan to them.
It's got a couple of people that aren't white.
I guess. I mean,
is that what constitutes too woke these days?
Apparently. I mean, there was a lot of. I just kept flipping through and seeing tons of these comments. I'm like, what is woke? But you're right. You broke John.
It's a true statement.
I'm so glad the doctor said it and not me.
I mean, Lord of the Rings, I love it to death. It is a white trilogy. So, if there's a couple of folks that don't look like they're from Norway, then that's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
I do think it's okay. And it looks.
But Jurassic World
funny.
Dominion, getting the teaser of all the OGs coming back and seeing how that's all going to work in, I thought that was pretty fun too.
That looks good, but it's not exactly flipping my skirt up. I was happy when the first movie came out again of this whole new series. The second one was okay, and then I'm a little bit tired of it. Maybe it's like to me it's kind of like Star Wars all over again.
What are you talking about? It's got the Holy Trinity in it. It's got Laura Dern, Sam Neill, and Jeff Goldblum are all there, and they're in frame together. You're drunk.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'm wrong.
Exactly. Thank you. When dinosaurs roam the earth, they're roaming the earth again. Can they survive with people? I think this is fantastic. I can't wait till we, knock them out of existence again.
Technically, it's better than Star Wars then because we never got to see Luke, Leia, and Han in the same frame together.
Well, with today's technology, guess what? We probably can.
What?
It'll probably happen because they can't let Skywalker go.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't either. How do I play this off? I don't know how to play this off. I got nothing.
You were just like really beating that Skywalker horse, and I'm like, okay.
No. Disney is beating that Skywalker horse. Disney has beat that into the ground. They can't make a property without beating Skywalker into the ground. Guess what? You have a whole universe that you just ignore because you know what'll get us some fan service? Skywalker. And if he's not available, Palpatine? Sure, let's just make some clones.
What about Boba Fett? Huh?
Let's not talk about Boba Fett.
That'd be fine.
No, they don't even talk about Boba Fett roughly by episode 5. Jesus.
And strangely, the show got better. So,
did you watch it all? Did you watch all of Book of Boba Fett?
I did. It was fine.
Would you agree that the first 3 or 4 episodes were not very good, and the show got much better about episode 5?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, when they brought the Mandalorian in, and it was all about him and Baby Yoda. And when they started trying to retcon or at least make episode 1 cool with some of the
Stan's like, spoilers be damned. I don't care if you waited.
Oh,
that's on you.
Sorry. No. But no, it got a lot better when it veered away from Boba Fett, and it kind of broke my heart.
It broke me.
Not me.
Hang on, John. This isn't your time. What do you mean broke your heart? Are you a huge Boba Fett fan?
Well, no, but he was a great character as far as just a coolness factor from the early 80s, and everybody had the action figure, and everyone just sort of liked the image, and it was better when it was left at that. When you when the show did what they did with him and turned him into something that he never gave the impression that he was in the original series,
Mm-hmm.
it was a little heartbreaking.
My favorite part is reading reviews and one critic. I'm also a critic, so I respect them. So I probably shouldn't knock them, but I'm not going to name them. But it just pointed out what a very layered, nuanced, and textured performance was given as Boba Fett. And I laughed out loud reading it because I'm like, that tone didn't change the entire series. It was the same monotone delivery the entire time. So that's wild to me. Is what it
I'm
is.
enjoying every single little bit of this.
You have a weird, negative thing about Boba Fett that I don't quite understand.
You want to know one of those things in life that I was never wrong about? Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
I've been wrong about a lot of things, and I can probably count the things I haven't been wrong about on maybe one hand, and one of them's Boba Fett.
You have so many problems. Before we move on, I want to mention The Adam Project. That was a trailer that kind of came out of nowhere. It's directed by Sean Levy, who also did Free Guy, and it's got Ryan Reynolds as basically he comes back as his future self to his younger self, and apparently it's a save the galaxy kind of thing. But it looks like immense fun. It's a Netflix movie. Normally, I don't get excited for a Netflix movie, but that one really, it looks like it's going to be a heartwarmer.
You should get excited because there's going to be a new movie every week in 2022 on Netflix.
I'll never
According to
be
the
excited
commercial.
until they prove me wrong that they're all better than Netflix movies. But there's a few, and Adam Project looks great.
That project looked really good.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to move on because we want to hurry up and get to the topic because that's going to be fun if we ever get there. So remember, you can always find more information at thehollywoodoutsider.com. You can join our Facebook group. The Hollywood Outsider is what you search for. We're on Twitter at @BuyPopcorn. You can share your thoughts on this episode or anything else at the site, like I said, thehollywoodoutsider.com, or you can email us feedback at thehollywoodoutsider.com. Feel free to. If you want to support us on Patreon, our show is independently funded. Stan is a Patreon supporter, so thank you for doing that, for keeping the show afloat. We really appreciate it. The expenses all come from our own pockets. Patreon helps fans support their favorite podcast. Once you sign up, you get immediate access to all the content in your respective tier. It's probably better stuff. We'll also have another episode of Bad Movie Night on Patreon later this week for James Wan's Malignant. That's a movie. All I'm going to say, that's a movie. Now you understand what it is. So if you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/thehollywoodoutsiders, patreon.com/thehollywoodoutsiders. We've got 2 spoiler-free reviews. The first one is for Kimi. John, you saw Kimi. It's on HBO Max, right? It's an HBO Max exclusive.
Yes, it is a HBO Max exclusive.
Okay. Well, during the COVID-19 pandemic in Seattle, an agoraphobic tech worker discovers evidence of a violent crime while reviewing data stream and is met with resistance and bureaucracy when she tries reporting it to her company. To get involved, she realizes she must face her greatest fear by venturing out of her apartment and into the city streets to find out what's going on and try to solve the problem. I'm not going to give away any spoilers. But it does sound like it's very politically charged and kind of a version of Rear Window. Is that a fair assessment?
It is a very, very fair assessment to call it a version of Rear Window. There is something very Rear Window-ish to it. It's not, I wouldn't go too far down that rabbit hole, but you definitely do get that feeling because you have somebody who's by her own means stuck in a house or stuck in a very fancy apartment. I wouldn't mind being stuck in this apartment, honestly. And she, her friends are people that she's waved to from across the street at the other building. And those are the kind of connections she's made. And yet she's somebody who has a lot of trouble, especially when she's trying to learn how to venture outside again, but she still has trouble with it. But no, as far as politically charged aspects of it, I don't get much of that with the exception of privacy. There is very big privacy undertones that I caught with it because I currently work in an industry that does this sort of thing as far as privacy is concerned. So I picked up on that aspect of it really right away.
Now, this is Zoe Kravitz's movie. It's her movie to lose because she's the primary character we're watching through the whole movie, right? Does she carry the film? Yes. Is she a lead? Because she hasn't had too many films where she's the lead character.
At first I was a little disappointed in what I was seeing from her because she felt kind of meek and small, but then again, her character is supposed to be doing that. And she didn't overdo it to the point. It was just my own personal reaction to the character doing that. But as I was able to break away from that feeling, I was able to follow along and say, okay, this is what she's really doing. The character has its moments to grow, and she progressively gets stronger and stronger as the movie progresses. So as I want to say, progress a lot of times, apparently. But
So the movie progressed well.
It progressed well. There's a lot going on with her, and I fell in love with her by the end of the movie. I wasn't as big of a fan, but by the end of the movie, I thought she was fantastic. And I can't wait to see her take more of a leading role in a lot of things.
Well, she's going to be in the Batman, so her career's about to jumpstart. So David Koepp wrote this. Great writer, but it's directed by Steven Soderbergh. And he can be very, very hit or miss, but he's always very experimental, I think, in his filmmaking. You know, he tries to be daring. He does different things. You know, he made a movie completely on an iPhone. And like, he's always trying to do something different in his filmmaking.
I think he used the iPhone for parts of this, too.
Well, is there anything unique in the direction here? I mean, did it stand out like, wow, that's pretty remarkable in terms of just direction, or did it feel very by the numbers?
Nothing really jumped out at me as anything spectacular. There were moments where I was like, that feels like an iPhone that he's actually using for this scene. There is a little bit of a shaky cam to it. I think he was doing a lot more to let the story tell itself without him trying to find a gimmick to go along with it.
Okay. So Kimi's on HBO Max right now. If $10 is the full price of admission, what would you give it?
I give it a solid $6.
Okay. So it's a good casual watch.
It's a good casual watch. Absolutely.
Okay. The other movie is Death on the Nile, which I saw, but Troy, you're going to lead me into these waters. See what I did?
Yeah,
did
because
there?
Agatha Christie is amazing, and we all enjoyed Murder on the Orient Express back in 2017. Death on the Nile was supposed to come out in 2019, but it was victim of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I think the first question about Death on the Nile specifically, because it was teased at the end of the first movie, is was this enjoyable enough with the Armie Hammer situation that was all going down?
You're going to go right to that. Son of a bitch. I got to be honest, that never bothered me. It never bothered me. Not that his situation doesn't bother me. It's just, he's not an actor that I would go see a movie for to begin with. So he's not somebody that really takes me out of anything. And it's really hard for me to make the movie suffer when he's not a primary character in the movie. He's just one of many characters in the movie. So it didn't affect me at all. And I got to tell you, I've talked to a lot of people that have seen it. Most people don't even know what the Armie Hammer situation is. I'm not going to go into it here because I'm going to get specifics wrong and it's not my place. Google it, Armie Hammer situation. I'm sure you'll get something. But no, that never bothered me. It didn't bother me.
Especially because if I remember right, doesn't Simon Doyle's character, he's pretty essential to the plot.
He is essential to the plot. I don't think they trim him down at all. And just to kind of give you a little bit, Gal Gadot is a rich heiress who becomes frightened for her life after she steals her friend's lover, who's Simon Doyle, who's played by Armie Hammer. Jacqueline, who's played by Emma Mackey from Sex Education. I know John loves her. She's basically Margot Robbie if you can't afford Margot Robbie. Well, she's pissed and starts showing up literally like everywhere including on their honeymoon. And that's where Hercule Poirot shows up with Book from the last film. That's Tom Bateman. Great actor. You should go find him in Behind Her Eyes and B&B. And they basically, Gal Gadot asks Hercule Poirot. That's the only way I can say it. It's just, she asks him to help protect her. So yes, Armie Hammer's character, Simon Doyle, is Gal Gadot's husband and is prominent in the role, but it's no more prominent than the other suspects. He's just in a few more scenes because he's the husband, but overall, it just wasn't something that took me out of the movie. Like I was able to just enjoy the movie.
With Branagh playing the role, do you think that he keeps the same bravado at Poirot in this one that he did in the first one, or do you think it's a little more muted and subdued this time around?
I actually think he's better here. I really, really liked Murder on the Orient Express. I enjoyed this more. Most murder mysteries don't really have an emotional component for me. It's more about, let's just figure the murder out. And this is one of the Agatha Christie movies. I've never actually read it and I hadn't seen the previous movie. So this is a story I just knew the basic concept of. I do know in researching it after I saw the movie that he added some material to it, including like this bitchin' Batman-like origin story for his mustache, which is curiously really emotional too. But there's a very emotional component because he creates a well-designed, him and his writers create a well-designed friendship between Q and Book. And you remember, Book from the first movie. Like that friendship is really, really embraced and kind of invigorated and explored and really lent a very emotional component to Poirot's character. And Kenneth Branagh, I think he's always been a wonderful actor. He's a great director. He plays the hell out of it. So, I mean, that whole relationship really got me. It really did.
Cinematography wise, I know in Murder on the Orient Express, you're talking more subdued colors, subdued tones, darker because it's on the train. Like, what was the juxtaposition between that and now coming onto the riverboat on the Nile? And does that give itself almost a character in itself to have a little bit brighter tone this time around?
Absolutely. It's beautiful. It's luscious. It's sunny. It's bright. It's very much exactly what you would expect for a trip down the Nile. I mean, Egypt is a beautiful, sunny place. The pyramids are highlighted. There's a random assortment of, I don't know, Nile River animals that he captures for some reason. I don't see the purpose for including those, but it still works. I mean, the visuals are on point. The cinematography is absolutely stunning. It's a stunningly shot film. Absolutely beautiful.
What was the biggest shock for you in this film, having not read the book previously? Was there anything that just was like, wow, that's really amazing? Or was it all pretty just kind of even keeled, one note? You can kind of see the ending coming.
Well, the most stunning thing was that Armie Hammer wasn't replaced with Christopher Plummer. That's a in-joke. Wink, wink. No. But no, actually, okay, here we go. What I thought was most interesting and surprising was that I pretty much knew exactly who it was pretty early on, at least in some respect, not necessarily in complete motives, but my wife and I had it figured out pretty early on, and it didn't detract from some really good red herrings, and still keeping me completely engaged the entire time. And I think that's very important because in a murder mystery, if they get the mystery wrong and the solution wrong and you weren't engaged the whole time, you never want to rewatch it again. I'm a big guy who wants to, in terms of rewatchability with a murder mystery. I've seen Knives Out probably 15 times since it came out, and this is one that even though I kind of figured out who it was early, wasn't surprised at all when the reveal came out. I still was thoroughly engaged. I was riveted the whole time. I mean, the second half I think is electric. I really think it's just beautifully done. They do a good job of establishing characters the first half and then paying it all off in the second half. Everybody is well cast. Annette Bening's in this. Letitia Wright's in this. They're all well cast. And, I think it's just it was a surprisingly really, really damn good film.
So on a scale of 1 to 10 on the size of cute Poirot's mustache, what would you give Death on the Nile?
$8. I liked it more than Murder on the Orient Express.
It looks more fun.
It is. It's more invigorating. It's more intriguing. Keeps you on the ropes. I like that. Any recent film or TV recommendations we haven't already talked about before we jump into the topic?
I meant to check out Inventing Anna on Netflix, but I just didn't get a chance to see the first episode. So I don't know if anybody else got a chance to watch the.
So your recommendation is something you didn't actually watch. You're like, all right.
See, the way it works, Troy, is that you did watch it, and
I was
then
asking
you
if any of you
it.
watched it for a recommendation because I want to know if it was good. But
No. I did watch Cop Out though, or Cop Shop. It's not Cop Out. Cop Shop.
Cop Out is a bad
Peacock.
movie. Yeah.
a cop out is what I did for my recommendation.
I love Cop Out. Stop it.
What? Stop. You stop it. You're the one that should stop it. Stop it.
You stop it. Anyhow, I watched Cop Shop, which you haven't. It's on Peacock, and if you haven't heard about it, it stars Jared Butler and what's that guy that you like so
Frank
much?
Grillo. I
Aaron?
reviewed it a few months
That's
ago.
the one. Yeah, it's not. You won't go into it. It's not what you think you're going to get. The person who stood out the most to me is Alexis Louder, though. She was amazing throughout the entire movie, and it's a lot of fun. It's just a great throwback to Die Hard, Assault on Precinct 13, that kind of thing, and it is just a good good time as far as the movie goes. So it's on Peacock. Go ahead and watch it. Alexis Louder is amazing.
Stan, you got anything you want to mention?
I'm always playing catch up, but I think what I watched most recently that made a big impression was an animated series on Netflix called Arcane. I don't know if you guys have talked about it. It was one of those things that Netflix recommended it. I was kind of dismissive because I believe it's based on a PC platform game, League of Legends.
Yep.
Was just not interested, and a friend recommended it, so I gave it a chance. And I tell you, by the end of the third episode, I was jaw dropped. By the end of the series, I was totally sold. Mm-hmm. Great characters. It's a really emotional series. It goes places that I did not see at any point. And it was just a really good show. It's really beautiful. It's a combination of some kind of classic animation and computer generated stuff. So it gets a really, really high recommendation from me.
Yeah, Arcane's a pretty amazing show, and I think, Aaron, you'd actually be able to enjoy it, even though it's an animated feature. It is. Yeah, I will say that it's an animated show, but I think you would get past the animation really quickly because the story itself is just something that is so deep and so beautiful and so well put together. And the animation style itself, yes, it is a 3D animated feature with painterly textures thrown over it. So it feels very much like walking, talking drawings, and I really just loved it.
You're selling me.
It was. I believe it's the third episode, and the ending of that episode is like an end of a season of Ozark. It is that
what
sort of like I did not see that happening at all. It was very surprising.
Okay, I'm gonna give this a shot. I am.
Mm-hmm.
I am. So I can attest that I'm wrong about all animated shows not being great. So there you go. Now,
well, then there's Vox Machina that you got to sit down and watch.
That's more D&D. I mean, and from what I understand, that's a lot of dick jokes, and that would just get old for me. I'm not big on that.
It's a lot of everything jokes,
but mostly a lot of dick jokes.
You're a dick joke.
What does that even mean? You know what? Let's get into our From the Outside In topic. Our From the Outside In topic revolves around admitting you were wrong. Wrong. Something I think it's pretty impossible to do these days. So each of us are going to discuss two things we were absolutely sure of in movies or TV, which we later proved to be wrong about in a positive way. So thinking a movie would be awesome and it sucked is not positive. So you can't use that. That's so easy. It's lazy. We're not doing that. An easy example would be how so many people hated the idea of Heath Ledger as the Joker or Ben Affleck as Batman, but both tended to be pretty damn good in retrospect. Don't argue with me about Batman. Ben Affleck was awesome. I'm sorry his movies weren't up to your scope, but he was great as Batman. Heath Ledger, we won the Oscar. Go ahead and make the argument. You already lost. So let's get into it. Prove or tell us what you have been proven wrong about. We're going to kind of do round and robin with our two, and then we're going to go into some listener ones. And I want to clear this portion up. Troy. Anyone that tries the I was wrong about this thing, but ultimately ended up being right approach is immediately going to be heckled and mocked. Maybe given wedgie. Troy. So you have to admit you're actually wrong about something. Everybody clear on these rules? You have to admit you're wrong.
Got it.
Crystal.
John, when you're on mute, no one can hear you.
Well, then I'm not going to repeat myself.
So dramatic. All right. So I'll start. The first thing that I want to say that I was wrong about, I was very certain that villain solo movies would not work. I just didn't think that made any sense whatsoever, and people would not really go to see them. And Joker, Cruella, Venom, Maleficent, there's more coming. You know, Madam Web's coming. Morbius is coming. There's a lot more coming. I was wrong. I was completely wrong. They have connected with audiences. I think there's a lot of people that are mad about that they're so successful, but they're actually doing very well. So I was wrong. I'm happy that I was wrong because it brought me a lot of Tom Hardy love and Emma Stone.
That was really big of you, Aaron. That was really big.
It's deep. Anybody else feel the same way? That they thought that was not going to work, or were you guys always on board? It's always going to work. What are you talking about, Aaron? You idiot.
I don't know if I ever thought that it was going to be something that didn't work or did work, but I did from a standpoint of a person who's like, I don't want to watch bad people be bad, kind of thing. I don't want to dig into those stories. I just want to see the good people, make me feel better about myself. I don't want to see the bad people, but I feel like I've been wrong. Venom was a great movie. The way they turned him into a real layered character was pretty fantastic. Joker, I hate that movie, but it's a very good movie. Like I can say both things are actually equal, because I hate the idea that what they did with the movie. I hate everything about it, but it's a really good story and it's a really good movie and it's very well acted. So I can be right and wrong about that at the same time, I guess. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, I'm glad to see some of these stories coming out and how deep they are becoming.
I think I was kind of on board with a lot of them early on, especially. I liked seeing a different side and maybe having some explanation for a lot of these characters. And some of it goes as far back as the book Wicked and the play, where you see where the Wicked Witch of the West comes from, and I think that may have been the impetus for some of this. My concern now is every villain going to have to be softened and justified, and given, they're bad, but they're bad for a reason. So that's my biggest concern. These are great movies. I have enjoyed all of them, but I don't know if there'll ever be enough. Who are we going to start defending next?
That's actually a really good point. I mean, Cruella is a prime example of, they really softened her up. I mean, yeah, she has a little edge by the end of it, but you never see her as a puppy murderer and throughout that film, because she just doesn't come across that way. So a little too soft, but I still love that movie. I don't care. I still love that movie.
It was great.
Yeah. All right, John, what's your first thing you were wrong about?
The very first thing I was wrong about was Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Hated the idea that that's who they casted. I was like, the praying mantis looking chick from the Fast and the Furious movies? Like, that's not Wonder Woman.
Mantis. Well, she is pretty thin, I guess, but
yeah, she didn't have the gravitas that it takes to be Wonder Woman at all. And not in anything I've ever seen her in. But as soon as she put on the armor and was walking around with a sword, and I was sold. I was absolutely sold.
Yeah, Freudian. So one little fun side note, I had to mention this, and I meant to mention this at Death in the Nile, but so you're mentioning Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot is in Death in the Nile, obviously. She's one of the major performers. The opening to Death in the Nile actually takes place in no man's land. It's like a preamble to the rest of the story, but it actually takes place in no man's land. So I thought it was freaking hysterical that in a movie with Gal Gadot in it, that it's also taking place. There also has a scene in no man's land, which is more still fictional. So you got like two completely different no man's land scenes between the two movies, and Gal Gadot's only in one of them. But I just thought that was kind of a fun connection that nobody seemed to reference in that entire movie. I'm like, did Kenneth Branagh not see Wonder Woman? I mean, to me, this feels like there should be some little nod or wink at some point in here to Wonder Woman, but no, it's just a weird coincidence, I guess.
Brandon's a Marvel guy.
That's true. Yeah,
that's true.
That's true. Good one though. That's Gal Gadot I think she's really. Some people really don't like her. I don't get how you don't. I don't think she's like the best thespian. Neither is The Rock. They're both just effortlessly charming.
They are, and she's really because of Wonder Woman. I feel like she's really been able to come out of her shadow or her own shell and become something that no one would have ever imagined her to be.
Yeah, because in Red Notice, it's amazing, right?
Oh, she's
she
great.
does a great job in Red Notice.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, she holds her own with The Rock and Ryan Reynolds. How is that even possible?
That's good.
Now, Troy, this is fun for me because as long as we've done podcasts, there's nobody I know that hates to admit when he's wrong more than maybe me, I guess, than Troy. So tell us your first one. Batter up.
My first one is that Diego Klattenhoff could actually be a lead in a movie because he was always a side character. Think like Mean Girls and Homeland, and even on Blacklist, he's not the person that is carrying the show. But he did a movie called Radius, and actually I thought it was really great, and he pulled off the lead character really, really well, and especially when you get to the ending and the surprise twist at the end. I was like, wow, I was just blown away that this was actually a really great movie, and I really had a thorough enjoyment from start to finish watching him take the lead. And then he's only gotten better, obviously, in his character on the Blacklist as we gotten into season 9. So yeah, I was just pleasantly surprised that Diego could carry the film himself.
Why am I not shocked you pull a Blacklist one? I'm just surprised it wasn't Spader. We definitely know it wasn't.
How could I be wrong about Spader?
Well, I mean,
yeah,
Mannequin, but
wow, Mannequin's fantastic. You shut your whore mouth.
I didn't say anything about. I said Spader. I didn't say anything wrong with the movie.
No, I'm with you.
It's the hair. It's the hair in Mannequin. It's that slick back look.
I would agree with you. Like from everything we had seen from Diego, he did not seem like he could actually carry a lead performance. I mean, not to knock the guy, but just didn't seem like it was there. But he's very good in Radius.
Yeah, it's a great movie too. You should watch it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like I really should bring up the fact that I really didn't think before Blacklist that Spader would be a pretty scary villain.
What?
But Blacklist showed me that he could.
Have you never seen anything he did?
I've seen a lot of things he's done.
He literally
and I've
played
never
nothing
bought
but
him.
bad guys in the 80s. That was his number one gig. Villains.
Yeah, but 80s bad guys are like, ha ha ha, bad guy. Versus like,
Right.
ooh, scary bad guy.
Ooh, scary bad guy. What?
He's basically the same smarmy guy that he was in those movies, if you ask me. He's just older. But hey, whatever won you over. That's what I say. Spader's a good actor. Great actor. The best thing about Age of Ultron, I'll tell you that.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay, Stan. It's bad or up. You get to admit you were wrong. What were you wrong about? Spending all that time on med school?
If I could talk to my younger self. So obviously I had to ask my wife. I'm like, so what have I been wrong about? And, you know, she's,
That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. Great answer.
because I
Because
couldn't,
if anyone's going to tell you.
well, I couldn't come up with anything on my own. So, but no, she was quick to point out a couple of things, particularly early in our relationship, which, you know, I was a fairly early adopter of anything streaming. Like I said, I hate commercials. So, I abandoned network television a long time ago. And I was just like, if it's not streaming, if it's not on a premium service, it's just not going to be good. I'm not going to like it. And, you know, there's nothing quality anymore. And it was, you know, she introduced me to a couple of network television shows. Admittedly, I saw them on streaming service, but you know,
but there's still network shows. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the two that really came to mind that I had no interest in were Friday Night Lights and Parks and Rec, and they're just, you know, fantastic. You know, I'm not a big sports movie fan. I've never even seen Friday Night Lights the movie, but man, that's a great show. It is. There's so much heart. The sports scenes are really excellent. You just grow to love all the characters, and so many, you know, there's so much talent in it. It could not be good in retrospect. And a lot of the same thing about Parks and Rec. I just thought it was going to be a rehash or a retread of The Office, but you know, it's just a really great show, and it just kind of proved to me that okay, you know, network television is still producing some quality things, as long as I don't have to watch the commercials.
I think it was Entertainment Weekly put out their top 100 best love romances for Valentine's Day on TV, and Coach and Tammy were number 2 from Friday Night Lights.
I see it. Yeah, that show introduced me to both of those actors, and they're just fantastic in pretty much everything. You could argue that he's not much in the Godzilla movies, but you know.
Well, he's got to compete with Godzilla.
Exactly. He's not giving a heck of a lot.
I feel like
Kyle Chandler holds his own, though. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there's still a few quality shows on network TV. You don't get any chances being taken on network TV anymore. I think that's probably more what I see. Like there's opportunities there, but nobody wants to watch commercials, so they only see them if it pops up on Hulu or something else. And they don't want to get too edgy because they're too worried about losing their base. So they keep kind of cranking out the same things over and over and over again. And that's what probably keeps them going, but also hinders them from really connecting with people who have left to go to streaming, where there's a little bit edgier fare and things get a little shadier, a little dicier, chances being taken. It's my opinion.
Yeah, speaking of chances being taken, they really don't take chances like they used to. Like I rewatched Quantum Leap recently.
That's a great one.
And there's a lot of chances being taken with that show.
Mhm.
Like there's you don't realize it now. You realize it more now than you did back then, because they were touching on subject matters that you don't realize in any way, shape, or form they're touching on. But we talk about them so readily today that it's common fare.
Mhm.
But a lot of it is things like, racism. You got a white guy who's freely using the N-word and on television. Like that's something that would never, ever, ever happen today. And, there's a couple other things that I can't, that at the same time, mental health issues, all that really swung for the fences. Quantum Leap did. So yeah, you're right. There's not a lot of chances being taken.
All right. So it's back to me. This one's huge for me anyway, is as much as I had a very wonderful experience seeing this movie with my family, and it's something that I'll never forget. It's one of my favorite movie going memories, and I will see the next one no matter what happens or if he's even going to stay alive long enough for them to complete it. But it breaks my heart to say this, but they should have let Indiana Jones ride off into the sunset with The Last Crusade and never ever made Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because it tainted the history of one of my favorite film characters. I was wrong.
Did that hurt you?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it kind of did. I mean,
I'm just saying about having to say that out loud. Did that hurt?
Yeah, because I mean, I think I've been in that mold where I can try to justify certain, like, a lot of that movie wasn't so bad. And I think there's a lot of good stuff in there, but there's also so many just horrible missteps that I can't understand for the life of me. And Indiana Jones riding bitch on a motorcycle. So basically he's not even the star of his own movie. You've got the monkeys, the ending. There's so many times where you can just tell it's a stunt double, which, don't get me wrong. I mean, sometimes that's very evident. I just watched him. What was the movie I just watched? Jolt. I don't know if anybody's ever seen this, but it's on Amazon Prime. I think John saw it. Jolt with Kate Beckinsale.
Not yet.
Oh, well, it's on Amazon Prime, and she's like an action hero in this. And there's a whole huge fight scene in there, and not once is it her. It's painfully obvious. They only show the back of her head, and it's obviously a wig. It's just like the hardest thing to watch. So, you can always point to this and be like, well, it's because he's so old. Nah, some actors just do that. They're just not able to really do the fight scenes. But Indiana Jones, the original trilogy, he was always present. You saw his face. You saw his involvement. Then you see Crystal Skull, and it's like trying to watch your grandpa fight, and it's just sad. So even if I love parts of it, it's still kind of broken. Like, just let me have my memories. Don't take that from me. But I'm still hopeful.
I think you hit on the biggest point is the end of The Last Crusade is the most perfect ending to any trilogy. They literally ride off into the sunset.
It's so perfect.
I'm with you. I was excited about Crystal Skull, and I'm kind of with you. I'll defend a lot of the things that a lot of people don't like, but man, the monkeys.
That's one of the dumbest choices I've ever seen in film. Like,
and even the very opening when they show the Paramount Mountain and then the CGI ground or the gopher or whatever it is comes out, and just I was worried, and justifiably so.
And he survives a nuclear bomb in a fridge. Hey, he's Indiana Jones, but that was just ridiculous.
I'll defend that part because it's such a cool shot to see him in front of the mushroom cloud. I want that poster.
Yeah, there you go. All right. There you go. I got that off my chest. Woosa. John?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So the thing that I was racking my brain for a lot of other things that I was wrong about because it happens so often. I'm like, well, this is just not going to.
It's the easiest topic you've ever had.
Yeah. So the thing that came to mind the most is one of my favorite actors these days is Leonardo DiCaprio. I've watched just about everything he's done since a specific movie, and I've enjoyed it every single time. But prior to this movie, which is The Beach, I hated anything and everything that has anything to do with Leonardo DiCaprio. I was so sick of hearing about his name. I was so sick of hearing him, seeing him plastered everywhere. I was so sick of like ever since like when he went full retard in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. I was pretty much just not on board. Was that wrong to say? I'm sorry. And no wonder he didn't get the Oscar for that. So it should have been his first try, but he went full. Anyhow, but ever since The Beach, I
get the movie reference.
Sold.
That's the only thing that saves you right now, is I totally understand the movie reference. I just hope everybody else does.
He's quoting Iron Man.
Right.
Yeah.
But the Danny Boyle movie, fantastic. He plays this character who's looking lost out in the world, and he goes and finds this island where people who hate vacationing go to vacation. And it's just, to me, one of my all-time favorite movies. Really, really enjoyable. And him in that character was completely different from anything I've ever seen him do before. And he wasn't like the cool, confident guy, or, the guy who had everything under control. He was a normal guy, and he did it very well. So yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio being actually fun to watch.
Just to piggyback off that, David Billups, one of our listeners, also said the same thing about Leonardo DiCaprio. Hated him, but his was Titanic, and I kind of wonder, did you have the same issue that I think a lot of people did, where they had Titanic fever because he was mentioned so much? Then The Beach came out, and you're like, I'm just done with this guy. Is that kind of where it was for you?
Well, I didn't have the Titanic fever, but I was dragged to go see it in the theater about 3 times. So that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, subconsciously.
Yeah. That might. I'm not afraid to say it. That might have something to do with it. But yeah.
Okay. Very proud of you.
Beach is so good, though.
Beach is a really good movie. It's very interesting.
To this day, I wonder if the alternate ending would have been better or worse.
What's the alternate ending? I don't know.
I don't know that one.
They actually cut away, and you see the leader of the group on the beach alone by herself in the shack, and you actually see her kill herself.
Oh, wow.
That's intriguing.
Yeah. Wow.
Because it was it's assumed, in the original ending, like that she never made it away, but
now you get the why, like the what.
Seeing it happen, it was kind of like, oh wow, well, whoa,
that's deep. Whoa,
yeah.
It's also one of my favorite soundtracks too.
It's a great soundtrack on repeat.
Yeah.
Okay, Troy, number 2.
Mine was that there's no way a movie created by a first-time director about people trapped in a bunker underground and never seeing the Cloverfield monsters was actually going to work. And I have to say that Dan Trachtenberg and 10 Cloverfield Lane is probably one of the best movies that you would see in that closet suspense thriller. How the hell is this thing going to end? And the fact that they ended up did tying it into the Cloverfield universe at the end, I thought was just a freaking stroke of genius. And I am so glad that I had an entire IMAX theater to myself to watch that movie.
But when you first read about it,
glorious.
You thought it was going to be awful because there's no monsters.
I thought it was going to be terrible.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like, this is dumb. Like Cloverfield was like a fun romp because it's like J.J. Abrams and all the tie-in marketing and all this stuff. And yeah, it was shaky cam and whatnot and kaiju and all that stuff. And it wasn't great, but it wasn't awful at the same time. So yeah, I'm down for more Cloverfield universe, but this movie's going to suck. How are you going to have a kaiju monster attack an underground bunker? This is just stupid. And man, no, John Goodman was amazing the entire movie. I mean, pins and needles the entire time.
How did you find yourself alone in an IMAX to see it?
I saw it at
prison.
I think it was 11:30 or noon in a weekday, and I went to the IMAX. I just wanted the full immersion experience because it's Cloverfield, and there was nobody else in the theater except for me.
John, did you say prison?
I did.
As in prison? What prison that you go to for visiting or whatever has an IMAX theater?
Yeah, they only have Betamaxes that play at twice the speed.
Right. No, it's Troy. If he ends up going to prison, he's going to go to one of those Club Fed kind of prisons.
That's you, sir. That is you.
Yeah, you're the fancy.
You're
the fancy bitch. You definitely are the bourgeois.
There's no way I would end up in a fancy
bougie,
because I would be going to prison for all the wrong reasons, or right reasons, depending on how you want to look at it. Troy would be going there for something like, I cheated on my taxes.
But you would insist.
It's a fair statement.
You would pay. You would find the way to pay extra to go to the very bougie place that has fine dining or something, and definitely has an IMAX theater.
Anyhow, so if I remember how this movie came about, it was a complete surprise to just about everyone when it was finally announced, because it was like a whole month is what they gave everyone, because J.J. Abrams did produce this one as well. And he was working on this at the same time as working on the first Star Wars movie he did. So nobody was expecting this movie, and it was completely filmed in secret. So the fact that they dropped it the way they did just made me go, wait a minute, why didn't I know about anything to do with this? And so I really went in there with an open mind and loved it from Jump Street on it.
Good one. All right, Stan. Last one.
So my second one, this was a long time coming to this decision, but for a good decade, I was convinced that Nick Cage movies are bad. And the truth is, Nick Cage movies are awesome. He started off so hot. He was, I loved Raising Arizona, and he won the Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas, and then he got into the Michael Bay phase with The Rock, and then Face Off, and then it got really cartoonish with Ghost Rider and The Wicker Man, and he just became a joke. And I was like, oh man, poor Nick Cage. And then everything was VOD, and I was like, or the straight to video, and I was like, well, poor guy, he's just doing it for a paycheck. And then Mandy happened.
What? Yeah, Mandy happened. How does that change your argument?
Oh, it's so good. I love Mandy.
What are you talking about?
I love it. Yeah, I heard your take on it, but then I heard a lot of other people say, it's totally worth watching, and he is so perfect for such a strange and weird movie. And then I just kind of got into some of his newer things, like Willy's Wonderland, and
that was crazy. He didn't talk that entire movie, right?
I know.
He said a word the entire movie.
But he always brings it, man. He works with, kind of interesting directors, even the kind of low budget fare still. But man, his past 5 or 6 years, I have found totally fascinating. I'm completely on board with, and I absolutely love it. Just sign me up for all the Nick Cage I can get.
Have you seen Pig yet?
Yeah.
Pig was great. It really was a nice surprise. It really was.
It was a departure from what he's been doing the past several years. I mean, it was a sort of quiet,
subdued.
It was really good.
And what was weird about, I mean, not so much weird, but I think everybody thought that movie was going to be John Wick, right? His pig is killed, and he's going to go find out who did it. And I think the implication, because we've all seen Crazy Nick Cage, but they play totally against type for that, and it's really a quiet, kind of a methodical piece about dealing with death and, grief and the loss of a loved one, whatever that loved one is. I mean, there's more than just people in the world. Some people, it's pets. And I thought it was actually kind of beautiful when it was over. And I'm like, I know for half the movie, I want him to kill like a bunch of people. And then it gets to the end and I'm like, I'm oddly warmed in the heart. I found it.
Oh, it's just so sad. This had the single tear going down. No, it was really good. He's got a couple of interesting things in the pipeline, which I'm really looking forward to as well. His the Renfield movie where he's going to be Dracula.
That'll be wild.
I know.
That'll be wild. He's something. I'm actually, when we're going to South by, his Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is premiering there, and so he'll be there. So I'm really praying I can get into that one, because I can't wait to see what that is. And he's nuts. I remember I went to, I think I've told this story before, but I went to South by and I sat in one of his movies for Joe, I think it was, sat directly across the aisle from him. So I was 5 feet from Nick Cage. You're sitting in a movie theater and there's a separation in the aisle. I sat right across from him. And he comes in and he's wearing complete snakeskin garb. I mean, leather or snakeskin, whatever the hell it was. It looked like snakeskin from head to toe. And he just sits there and he's just looking forward, because he obviously does not like attention which is weird. I mean, because you'd think as wild as he is, he would love it. But he just doesn't, he kind of wants, he's not being rude or anything like that, but just wants to be left alone. He's just being very Nick Cagey. And these two girls run up to him and, Nick Cage, will you sign my thing? And you're not supposed to ask for autographs at South by. It's like one of the rules, but he's very gracious. And he just turns around, signs it, and then goes back to looking forward. It was just like the weirdest thing. And he didn't engage them at all. He didn't say, hey, how you doing, ladies, or anything. He just turned, sign, here you go. And then looked back forward and stayed that way. It was pretty crazy.
While wearing snakeskin head to toe.
From head to toe. From head to toe. Had the boots, the whole thing. It just looked like a total Nick Cage kind of movie star vibe. But Mandy, other than the dueling chainsaws, what did you find great about? I'm legitimately willing to hear you out. I hate that movie.
I know. I've watched it a couple of times, and I'm looking forward to another time.
What?
The first half is. I didn't like the first half when I first saw it, but then, there's a certain scene, and I don't think it's a big spoiler to say that it starts with Nick Cage downs an entire fifth of booze, and it just goes off the rails, and he goes and he gets his custom silver axe, and it becomes this crazy fantasy revenge film. But I love the color palette, just the way it's shot. I think it looks really cool from start to finish. And then, Nick Cage doing a literal mountain of blow and chainsaw fights and the weird, ambiguous ending. I really dig Mandy.
Okay.
Since you liked Mandy, what were your thoughts on the Green Knight?
It's a fair comparison.
I could see a comparison being drawn. I was a little more ambivalent about the Green Knight. I was really excited to see it. I actually went to the theater, which I haven't done a lot in the past couple of years, and walked out with. I was more scratching my head. I thought it was pretty, but I didn't get the Green Knight.
All right, you can continue on the show for the rest of the time we're here.
So you made it to the whole movie, because I walked out of that one.
Oh, Green Knight?
Oh, yeah, I walked out before he finished, if you know what I'm saying. I went back and finally saw the end of it, but I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad I walked out of that.
Yeah, maybe there's a point to it. I didn't get it.
I'm sure if you ask the director, he'll tell you, well, it's just a null in your perception. It just feels like that would be the answer in that kind of movie. All right. Well, we also, Amanda had one, so I'm going to mention what hers was, because it's so rare that she can admit she was wrong. She says, Breaking Bad. I tried season 1 so many times over the course of many years and couldn't get into it. I thought it would just be so boring, and it was boring. Took Aaron's advice and pushed through, ended up being one of the best shows I've ever seen. Now, I will say I've heard that from a lot of people, and that's one of the rare exceptions where I say, push through it, because after you get to that first season, like, it just really becomes amazing. And the first season's 7 episodes, but I think
so. Are we going to go on record here and say Aaron was wrong because you have to watch 6 episodes before something's actually good?
No, because that was before I developed that opinion. So that hasn't happened since then.
Because I remember specifically Aaron telling me, like, you just got to get to season 2.
Yeah.
If you just get to season 2, Breaking Bad is amazing. And I'm like, and I was like, Amanda, I tried like 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, I cannot get through to season 2. It's terrible. It's awful.
What you're missing, Troy, is that it only counts when Aaron says it.
I got it. Okay. I misunderstood the rules. My bad.
Right.
Same people were telling me that about Boba Fett. You just got to get to episode 5. Well, you know why? Because he stopped being in his own show. That's why.
I still haven't made it past episode 2. I was so bored over the weekend, I almost put it on, but then I found something else.
Literally skipped episode 5 because if you're going to watch season 3 of Mandalorian, you have to watch it. Sadly.
Really?
I swear to God. Yeah.
God,
there's huge character development for him, not for Boba Fett. I mean, ain't nothing to happen with Boba Fett. He's the same dude you saw in the first whatever episode you watched.
The episode 5 and 6 are good.
They're great because it's not Boba Fett. I'm not gonna. That's not. I don't even know. Somebody told me that's a huge spoiler. I'm like, how is that a spoiler? He's not in his own show. I don't know how you spoil something that didn't actually happen. Like nothing in his show happened.
Well, the opening of that 5th episode, I was honestly surprised. It was shockingly violent for a Disney Plus show.
It was. Bryce Dallas Howard is.
That's why I was wondering if the Netflix stuff's going to come, because it fits right under the Marvel banner, because we know that it's somehow now kind of sort of tied in to the rest of the MCU.
It's basically, yeah. How is it tied into the MCU?
Wait, what?
Yeah, I thought there was like a recent TV series that like the Punisher and Jessica Jones were like hinted at being part of the larger arc that they were trying to like back tie them in.
Well, Daredevil, yes. Which Daredevil's sort of connected to Jessica Jones and Punisher.
That's 100%. Daredevil's there and he's in the present day, so they are part of the MCU whether they like it or not. Because Daredevil met all his other characters. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Which is why it makes no sense for it to be on Hulu. They should just put it on Disney Plus.
Sure. And I'm just trying to get. How did you go from Star Wars? I thought you were saying that the MCU was connected to Star Wars, and I'm like, my mind is blown. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Troy, I'm going to need a turn signal next time you do that to me.
Because Disney Plus has the Star Wars channel, and they had a very violent episode 5.
Got it.
Therefore, they should have a Marvel channel, and all the Marvel stuff should be in the Marvel place.
All right.
I'm still going to point out that I'm going to need a turn signal, and I'm freaking Floridian, so we don't do turn signals. So I'm still going to need one.
All right, so now we're going to go into some listener ones, and we'll discuss them as we go. There's some really interesting ones in here. We asked listeners to tell us what they were wrong about in terms of movie and television, and here we go. So Christina Flores, she says, it took me some time to get on board with Tom Holland's Spider-Man storyline. However, after the last movie, I was surprisingly satisfied and happy with how his characters have progressed. I think we've talked about that before, but I think we can all agree with that. Another recent example were the Nickelodeon shows Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. I'll be honest in saying I didn't have high expectations going into it, but it was my youngest pick for his show to watch with mommy. Aww. The quality storytelling in the series blew me away completely, and it's at the top of the list of shows I've watched with the kids over the years that I've enjoyed.
I will expand on that, Christy, in that after watching Avatar: The Last Airbender and thoroughly enjoying it from start to finish, I was highly skeptical of how they were going to do The Legend of Korra. And I have to say that The Legend of Korra is infinitely better than Avatar: The Last Airbender by a mile. I mean, it was so good on how they came up with the ending. It was so good on how they did the historical episode of the very, 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 very first Avatar in season 2. Like everything about Korra like hit on all levels. It was just super, super amazing.
One of the things I think is interesting about Avatar and Legend of Korra, as someone who has paid attention to other critics and what they like over the years, those two cartoons are something that a lot of them hold to high regard. So it's not something I've ever experienced myself because I always feel like it's way too big for me at this point. But I do notice how it has caught the interest of a lot of people who are interested in storytelling, and I think it's really great.
I really hope Netflix finishes the live action version because M. Night totally screwed the pooch with the attempt that he made. Hiring all Norwegians to be in the show. But I think we really, really, really need a live action version of these stories. It's so good.
Ladies and gentlemen, we call that a callback.
That was a great callback, actually. I giggled inside.
That's 2 tonight.
Yeah. All right. This one's really interesting. I think a lot of people probably feel this way right now. Jessica Farrell says, I kind of thought Robert Pattinson was the worst coming out of Twilight. I really had zero respect for the guy. But then I saw The Last City of Z and Good Time, realized I was totally wrong and that he's a genius actor. And I feel like a lot of people have come to that conclusion in the last few years because he really has evolved. I mean, if you saw
Devil All the Time.
Devil All the Time. There's not many people that impressed me as much as him in 2020.
It's good in Tenet too.
He's been great in everything he's done, and he really made some good choices.
In Tenet, after watching Tenet, I was like, okay, I'll let him be Batman.
Yeah.
I would much rather. I want to go on record. I would much rather more Ben Affleck or Batfleck if you don't know what I'm talking about. But if I have to have a different Batman, he'll do.
Buttman would have been better. I like that flip. You started to say Buttman, and I kind of want to say Ben Affleck as Buttman with Jennifer Lopez.
Definitely.
All right, what do we got here? So Josh Steima. He's got 2 of them. One refers to the show, so we'll get there. 21 Jump Street, the movie. I didn't think there was any Ice Cube's chance in hell that this movie would be any good due to the dipshit from Step Up being in it. Channing became one of my must-see actors because of his charm and comedic timing after this. Huge fan and have rarely been disappointed since. You guys agree with that? Channing Tatum?
I liked Channing before that.
I don't think I did. I don't. Magic Mike came out after that, so definitely wasn't before that, I don't think.
Yeah, I think there was something that came out before that, and I can't remember what it is, but there was something that came out before that where I thought Channing would be great, made me think he'd be great in this, but I didn't. What did catch me off guard is just how good at comedy he is, because I think it was like an action thing. It might have been G.I. Joe or something like that.
Yeah, he wasn't G.I. Joe. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, where I thought, okay, Channing Tatum in this, it'll be interesting. And then, Jonah Hill, okay, so Channing Tatum's going to be the straight guy. Jonah Hill's going to be the funny guy. And it was completely flipped around in several different times over.
Love Channing Tatum. All right. He also goes on to say, also, the hoe. He means our podcast. All right. I honestly didn't think that y'all would carry on after not one, not two, but 3 OG hosts left the show. When you put it like that, it really makes me feel like bad. Been pleasantly proven wrong time and time again. Been my only weekly listen for almost a decade. Can't put a price on that. Keep your goddamn Patreon jokes to yourself. I'm coming back.
Well, we weren't going to say anything.
I mean, but since you brought it up, that's patreon.com/TheHollywoodOutsider, Josh. I appreciate that. That's very cool. I think it's very rare that we are able to still make it work, to be perfectly honest with you. I've heard a lot of podcasts that lose hosts, and one leaves, any of them leave, and it kind of ruins all of it. But I think we've been okay.
You're welcome.
Stan, you're the outlier. Is it still working, or do you actually not really listen anymore? You just pay money because you feel bad?
No. I told you guys a few years ago. It was when it was you, John, and Amanda. That trio is when I became a Patreon. I think you guys found a groove, and then I think you've kind of hit your stride recently. So I think you guys
I
have
can't
kept up a
imagine
good
why.
work.
Troy can't say his name.
Well, I do like Mandy, so if that tells you anything, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't have. There's no accounting for good taste then. That's
He
what I
likes
mean.
crazy crap, so therefore I just fit the bill.
There you
makes
go.
sense.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
Andreas, he says, Brad Pitt. Up until 12 Monkeys and 7, I thought he's a pretty face with little to no chops in acting. And at the moment, I think the same about Tom Holland, who's not even really that pretty. He says. We'll see if he can
You will
prove
never get a girlfriend now because all the girls hate you.
He is kind of just average looking, though. If you really look at him, I mean, he's not a movie star. He looks like Peter Parker should.
He's dating Zendaya.
I didn't say he's
He
not dating
screwed us-
above his pay grade.
I was like, we're all doing it wrong at this point. We should just be like average like Tom Holland.
I don't think
I'm
that's
fine.
how it's going to work, but you give it your best shot.
I think we could agree that Tom Holland's not Brad Pitt.
100%. Yeah, 100%. But that is a good pick. I would honestly say the same thing. I think probably before 12 Monkeys and 7, I would have felt the same way.
Yeah, I think so too, because 12 Monkeys, again, was one of those roles that you think somebody like Brad Pitt wouldn't take. He spends the most of the movie dirty, messed up. He's doing crazy shit with his hands. It's something that's way outside of something that like a Hollywood heartthrob would do, and he's willing to take that role. And not only does it take it, but he owns it, and it's amazing to see that happen.
From what I understand, he intentionally made himself, because initially that he wasn't supposed to be that strange looking, and he had the pretty boy reputation. So he put the prosthetic eye or the contact lens in where it's sort of, he's got the wonky eye and the bad haircut, and so he was intentionally trying to get away from that image, which I totally agree with Andreas. It was that role, and I was like, there's something to this guy, and now he's one of my favorite actors.
Oh man, yeah. Just
Now I have to go watch 12 Monkeys, the TV series, all over again because it's so good.
It's not related.
yeah, they're not connected at all. He's not in that.
He said 12 Monkeys. It's 12 Monkeys. It's related.
So you heard
What are you,
12 Monkeys
Tourette's?
and you need to watch 40 hours of television? I don't understand that connection. That's good. That's wild. Or 20 hours because you watch everything at 1.5 speed or whatever the number is.
Right.
That's insane. Scott Cargaro says Ant-Man and Thor Ragnarok. I'm wrong about those. I had no desire to see either one of them. Looked completely stupid from the trailers. Ended up loving both. Can you ever put Marvel films on these lists? I mean,
I don't think you should.
Yeah.
Well, unless it's Eternals, because if you walk into Eternals going, that's going to be awesome.
yeah, you'd be wrong.
I'll see myself out. Thank you.
Dun, 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 dun.
You walk into anything other than like Infinity War and Endgame and go, this is going to be awesome. I mean, it's the same cookie cutter formula in most of the Marvel films.
Ooh.
Hey, you watch your mouth.
At Troy Heinrichs on Twitter. Go ahead. He's not wrong, though. He's not wrong. I mean, we can make fun of him all we want because I know, Marvel haters are going to come after him for something like that, or they're going to see.
I didn't say I hated Marvel. I just said that it's a cookie cutter formula and it works.
It is but that's the truth. It's very formulaic.
Oh my God. I forgot to talk about the year of DC 2022, because of the trailer that had Hawkman in it, Dr. Fate in it, Atom Smasher in it, The Flash and his new, who's like, that's exciting.
Wow, that was speaking of needing a turn light. I mean,
yeah, I was like, they were all burnt out on the back of your car, buddy.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm a Floridian. We don't use them. So
That's right.
Calvin Meyer, he said, back when the Star Wars prequels came out, I was sure Palpatine would not turn out to be the Emperor because it just seemed too obvious. I even bet my brother about it. Oof.
Oof.
How'd that feel?
I don't mean to laugh, but
But yeah, don't go to Vegas because it's literally the same actor.
Yeah. Oh, man. Jennifer Miller, I was so embarrassed to admit I made a very snap judgment when I saw the Greatest Showman trailer the first time. Like John. I didn't think the music matched the period. I could not have been more wrong. I adore the movie, so don't hate me. Nobody's going to hate you for adoring that movie because that makes you
Just me.
right.
Yeah. You've corrected your mistakes. It's all
Exactly.
good.
And now we're going to sing a little number. Just kidding. All right. So, Tabitha Grace Chalice. Tabitha is very nice. Here's a fun one. I completely hated the idea of Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, before I watched the show. I thought it was campy, ridiculous, and the name was stupid. Then I watched it, and then I became so obsessed, I did about 14 podcasts about the show, including an award-winning audio drama.
Oh, that's awesome.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Fantastic.
although, the way I read that is that what she's forgetting is like the whole, I thought it was campy, ridiculous, and stupid. And I was right, but I still loved
Yeah,
it.
because those things aren't not true. It's very campy, ridiculous,
Right.
and the name is stupid, which is part of the charm.
And Tabitha doesn't mention if she watched the movie first or not, because I think she was just basing it solely on the TV show.
She doesn't say that in her comments. She sure doesn't.
Yeah.
Stefan Smidovic. Timothy Oliphant. First movie I saw with him in it was that Die Hard movie, and his character was very flat, so I ignored movies with him in it. Oof, well, I'm glad you admitted you were wrong. But then again, I do think that's not a very good performance from him, personally. Live for your Die Hard. Another example, I'm not a big fan of gangster movies. However, I figured out that I enjoy old French gangster movies. Maybe it is because it looks like something that is familiar but still a little different. And that's an interesting dynamic. Is there any genres that you guys don't like, but there's, for whatever, one specific kind of film that still works? It's an interesting dynamic. I don't like gangster movies, but I like French gangster movies.
I don't like Westerns, but I really like samurai movies.
I mean, that works. They're kind of...
Yeah.
That works.
I
can't think of anything particular.
I never get excited about any biopics, and yet every time I see one, they're usually quite good. I just
Oh yeah, there you go. That's a good choice.
good
Yeah.
pick.
I don't ever want to sit there and say, "Hey, let me go watch this movie that gets me depressed about this dude over here." But then I go watch it. I'm like, "Oh, that's good. All right."
Oh God, that makes me think of what's his name? Dominic, whatever, the director of Blonde, the Marilyn Monroe biopic that's coming out that has Ana de Armas in it, and he's pushing.
Okay.
It's going to be on Netflix, and he's pushing for NC-17 because everyone wants to see the Marilyn Monroe NC-17 version. And I'm like, I don't think anybody wants to see an NC-17 version of that. They just want to see a very good Marilyn Monroe biopic, or biopic, depending on who you are.
I mean, they may want to see the NC-17 version of Marilyn Monroe, but maybe not NC-17 of Ana de Armas. So
I think it's reversed because one of them's dead, and that would just be creepy.
right, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Nobody really wants to see that.
All right, so I don't go into a creepy thing about Ana de Armas. Timothy Oliphant, the first time I can remember him jumping into my memory as far as something that I watched him in that was a small role, but I really enjoyed him, was the Girl Next Door. he was a bit character in it, but he owned the screen the entire time that he was on the screen. And I loved everything about that.
Wasn't he the bad guy that was like chasing him around the whole time?
Yep.
How's that a
Yeah,
big?
he was.
How's that a big character? He's like the whole movie.
Okay, he's not the majority. No, he's not the whole movie.
He's like
he
the
shows up
whole
at he shows up in the middle of the second act.
He's a supporting character. He just seems like he's the star of it because he carries weight. He's got gravitas.
Well, yeah.
He's got gravitas.
Yeah, but he's
Right.
but he's a big driving force of the plot.
that part's true.
No, I thought the big driving force point of the. Never mind. I'm out of it.
He gave up. He doesn't even try to argue.
I'm
He's
not
just
doing
like,
it.
That's how often he's wrong. He doesn't even try anymore. He doesn't even fight it.
No, I just let it go. It's more like, okay, cool. I'm wrong. Wait a minute. What?
Hey,
Yes, I'm
more
wrong.
people need to do that on the internet.
Yeah.
But if you're right, you're right. That's the way I look at it. Stuart Bannerman.
I just don't have the energy.
Stuart Bannerman says, when Jurassic Park was announced in the early 90s, even though it was Spielberg, I was convinced it would flop at the box office. I mean, come on. A film about dinosaurs. Who would want to see that?
Me.
Everyone. At least he's admitting
Sorry,
he's wrong.
Stuart.
I felt that way about Avatar. I'm like, who wants to see that? That looks like shit. Everybody in the world saw it. Everybody. Twice. Damn it. It's wrong. This one's kind of interesting. We got 2 for Tom Cruise. 2. Never bet against Cruise, man. Just don't do it. Tom Wynn says Tom Cruise as Lestat.
Tim Wynn.
What did I say? Oh, I said Tom. I've got Tom
Tom
on the
Wynn.
brain.
Tom.
What are you going to do?
Freudian slip.
Tim Wynn. Tom Cruise as Lestat. And Brian Lowry said Tom Cruise as Reacher. I didn't think it would work, and I was wrong. They were both very wrong about those castings. Tom Cruise can act when he wants to. He just normally, these days, just likes to be Tom Cruise.
Right.
Stuntman.
And there's worse things to be.
Are you just trying to be Amanda? He's a stunt actor, or he's a stunt coordinator kind of person. He's not an actor.
Let's go
okay,
back
Amanda.
to
It's all right.
Stan's point. There's a lot worse things to be than Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Minus
Me.
the Scientology thing.
I mean, the Scientology thing's a big one.
I don't know. It's working for him. I'm considering it.
Do you guys ever wonder if anybody ever tries to stop him and have that conversation? Like, hey, you ever heard of Leah Remini? I mean, have you ever seen a documentary that was out a couple years ago? I mean, you want to watch it with me? It's really good, I hear. Sure, let's do it. I love movies. Hey, that's bullshit. I don't know why my crew sounds like Travolta, but
Well, same thing. Different
hey,
person.
Mr. Gata. All right, Becky Trumbo. I've been avoiding Don't Look Up because it looked like a preachy take on our current world. Not exactly wrong. Especially when because a friend who sends news articles by the hour said I needed to watch it. Finally watched it yesterday. It's seriously funny. It has humor, ire, tear-jerking emotion, but it doesn't get too preachy and moves quickly. Guess everyone else in the world was right and I was wrong.
Wow.
It's very big of you.
That's good for you.
Still don't think it deserved Best Picture, but what are you going to do? Tracy Cook, The Office. I thought it was the stupidest show, and now it's my nightly fall asleep TV. Aw. Troy Heinrichs actually tried for years to tell me how good Alias and Fringe were. I finally relented, and now they are 2 of my all-time favorite shows. I think I was kind of TV snobbish like 10 or 15 years ago. That now I'm really much more open to trying out TV. This past summer, I watched Monk because of Aaron Peterson and loved it. So, hey, I guess we both changed your life, Tracy, in different ways. Mike Bonovich. This is kind of interesting. The sci-fi geek thought The Matrix looked bad, mostly because of Keanu Reeves. I spent good money to see Johnny Mnemonic already. Speed and Point Break were fine. Fine? Matrix looked more serious and called for a better actor than Reeves, or so I thought. Friends convinced me to go. Boy, was I wrong. I felt the same way when I saw The Matrix.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a paragraph about it in the Entertainment Weekly spring movie preview, and the picture they had in the magazine was the shot of Lawrence Fishburne when he's jumping out of the window into the helicopter.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it wasn't a good still. You got this kind of overweight Lawrence Fishburne jumping with rain coming down and his mouth's wide open, and it just didn't sound great. And I kind of randomly went to see it on a Wednesday in a theater by myself, and it might be the greatest in prison because I went to a club fed Prison for Tax Evasion, but it might be the greatest movie-going experience I've ever had. It was
Oh, wow.
the biggest surprise I've ever had for a movie, and I was just, within 5 minutes, I'm like, this is amazing.
And originally that was going to be Will Smith. And I always wonder if that would still be as amazing or more amazing with Will Smith.
That's a really, really good question too. Because at the time, Will Smith Keanu's fantastic and he's an angel walking on earth. He's a fantastic man. Will Smith has more charisma than Keanu has on accident.
And better acting chops.
And better acting chops. So seeing him do that role, I would imagine it'd probably be a much better experience.
But yeah, I'm sorry, Trey, you go ahead.
I say, but would the screen test with Carrie Ann Moss work? And would you have to recast Carrie Ann Moss?
Why?
I mean, she's great. Well, chemistry. I mean, it's any movie. Chemistry works or doesn't work.
Especially when you know what happens in the fourth movie.
But I would say the only downside to if Will Smith would have been in The Matrix is that Will Smith has so much charisma that he can take over an entire movie just by being there. Like, he's just that fun to watch always for whatever reason. Not the Keanu Reeves.
Like iRobot?
Right. What's that?
Like iRobot?
Yeah, where iRobot, it's so hard in the harder scenes in that particular movie because he just has too much fun, I guess. I don't know what the amazing charisma that it just pops off the screen that sometimes I think it actually can be a detriment to certain movies.
Suicide Squad. Sorry, I had to clear my
He's the best thing about Suicide Squad, right? Well, maybe Harley Quinn. But, it's just, I wonder. I wonder if it would take away from the actual story in The Matrix because he's always so engaging just to watch. But then again, it's a very cinematic movie, so it probably would have been better.
But it's true, because that's why I didn't like Suicide Squad, because it's like all I saw was Will Smith. I didn't see Deadshot.
I
didn't see. It's just like, hey, it's Will Smith.
I didn't like Suicide Squad because it was terrible.
That also was the case.
Well, Will Smith finally piped up about releasing the Ayer cut.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't ever want to see it.
Okay.
I liked the movie fine. I actually did. I liked it fine for what it was. I'm a huge Harley Quinn fan, and I thought Margot Robbie is fantastic as Harley Quinn.
Margot was great.
Agreed.
But there's nothing on this earth that can make me watch more of that Joker. There's literally nothing that Zack Snyder's Justice League, I was dying to see. The David Ayer cut, you couldn't pay me to watch it. Sincerely.
Like, true story. I went to the Chinese Grauman Theater, like the actual Grauman Theater. And that's when I saw Batman versus Superman. And then I also went to the Panorama Dome, the Cinema Dome in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I saw Suicide Squad. So both of the iconic theaters in Hollywood, I saw two of the worst movies possible. It was just sad.
I don't know if it's that bad.
It's bad.
Whoa, I enjoy
It's
those.
that bad.
I enjoyed Suicide Squad for what it was. I just don't I can easily say it's not a good film. I just enjoyed it. Like, I just don't think it's well made. And you can blame that on Warner Brothers or whatever he wants to, but that Joker was ridiculous.
It is what it is.
We filmed so much better stuff with Joker. Well, you didn't put any of it in the movie, you jackass. Like, you couldn't put a couple frames of it? My God. We just did some magical stuff. You never hear Margot Robbie pop up about it. You ever notice that? Like, she never says a word because secretly she's like, thank God, just let that die. Just let it die. I don't want it to come back.
She's like, I've moved on. You should too.
Last one is one from Brandon Smith. It's personal. I did not write this. This is him. He says, I've got a fun one for you, in air quotes. The first time I listened to The Hollywood Outsider, I didn't like Aaron. Something about his personality rubbed me the wrong way. I thought he came across as somewhat cocky and aloof, and I didn't like when he would shut down some of his co-hosts during a conversation. Maybe they shouldn't say such stupid shit. But the more I listened to the show, the more I came to understand who he is as a person. I assume he means extremely handsome. I now believe that he is a genuinely kind and caring individual who may sometimes hide that behind a somewhat abrasive exterior, but almost always in good fun. He also possesses quite a wealth of knowledge when it comes to film and television. Hear that, Troy? And has earned the right to call bullshit when he sees it. Hear that, Troy? Again? He also is also a phenomenally good podcast host and keeps every episode running smoothly and within a nice structure. Aaron has become the kind of hoe that I can respect. I respect all hoes, but I respect that very, very nice compliment. I think it's backhanded, and then it came back full frontal. So I really dig it.
It's very sweet. How much did you pay for it?
I used all the Patreon money for last month for that. It was worth every penny. Every penny.
Wait a tick.
Yeah, you're right, Brandon. But you were also right the first time.
Ooh,
He is cocky and aloof.
kiss my
And
ass.
he does shut us down from time to time.
Time to time.
John, you need to shut down
He's shut
more.
you down at least 15 times this episode.
Yeah, but I'm used to it.
That's right.
I've dealt with it for 9 years.
It's true. Over on Blacklist
You got
Exposed,
battered wife syndrome?
which is where he takes the lead, he shuts me down a plenty. So trust me, he gets me back plenty. All right. So you can share your thoughts on this episode or anything else in our Facebook group, The Hollywood Outsider. We're on Twitter @BuyPopcorn. Please rate and subscribe to the show on your preferred podcast app. You can find John's artwork on Insta or Twitter @RJohnDraws. Don't worry, we're not done yet. Amanda's on Veronica's Marshmallows and Smirk and @Sink Into This. Troy's on the Blacklist Exposed and Beyond Westworld and @Troy Heinrichs. And me on the Blacklist Exposed and Beyond Westworld with Troy and Presenting Hitchcock @Aaron Smirks, which Presenting Hitchcock, we just did Vertigo, which was an interesting film to talk about. It's all about obsession. Now we're going to close this out with open mic night, which means that one of our hosts gets to talk about anything they want. And Stan, you get the mic. So what do you want to talk about? Dazzle us.
Well, it has just been announced that Entertainment Weekly, which I mentioned earlier, they are shutting down production of their print magazine. I don't have the exact date, but it's coming up soon. It was a magazine that I, subscribed to even in high school, early on in its production, and I got a lot of my movie, TV, music news before the internet was a thing, and now it's coming to an end, and it got me thinking, like, is there a place in the world anymore for any sort of movie or entertainment magazines anymore? And do you guys have any? Did you ever subscribe to Entertainment Weekly, or do you have any particular memories about it? So I guess that's my topic.
That's a great topic. And before we get into it, I do have to say this. What's funny is, yes, I think it's April that their last print editions will be. And I just got a renewal thing this week for my Entertainment Weekly subscription. And it says, do you want to renew for a whole year? You can save a fortune. I'm like, well, yeah, you ain't doing this shit anymore. So it's kind of
It'll be prorated.
Yeah, it'll be prorated.
And you won't get your money back because we're like, hey, shut down the magazine and I can't actually get a hold of anybody to get my money back now.
It gets converted into an online subscription. That's what it's going to end up happening. Oh, you don't have this anymore. Here's your online subscription.
Oh, so I have to pay for the privilege for them to freaking spoil the thing like 10 seconds after it gets done airing on TV?
Oh,
Yes.
their website
no.
is unbelievable. That went from being one of my favorite things in the whole world was Entertainment Weekly to me hating their ever loving existence because they spoil things 5 minutes
Constantly.
after it airs.
Constantly.
You're right.
I'd subscribed to the print edition for a while, and it's for whatever reason it's not the same. There was something
'Cause you know it
kind
all.
of special about getting the magazine and kind of seeing what was coming. And the preview articles were always great, and they didn't have the chance to spoil anything in the print edition.
I used to read for years and years and years. I read Entertainment Weekly very religiously, and that was where I would get a source of information. One of the reasons when I first started this whole website, the original version of the website was called Let's Talk About Movies. Then it became many years later, The Hollywood Outsider. But originally started off as kind of like a news on the internet. Ain't it cool news, kind of similar to that concept where it's just bulletins. And that's because, at that time, the internet wasn't prevalent with all those details right away. So you get that information a little slower, and so you could really enjoy the print editions, and you could thumb through, read all the articles, and it was all new. But now, the last 3-4 years, every issue you get, everything that's in there before you ever saw it. So what's the point? I kind of get why they're closing, but it also is very sad because that was something I absolutely loved. And before we all took our phones into the bathroom, that's where Entertainment Weekly went at my house.
Yeah, I only ever paid for 2 magazine subscriptions. One was to Nintendo Power, and the second one was to Entertainment Weekly.
Nintendo Power.
Nice.
love that.
Yeah, my favorite subscription for a long time was Imagine FX, which is a digital art magazine, and I haven't been subscribed to them for years. And I actually saved those magazines all the way up until I made my exit out of Florida, which I was going through my office as I was moving some stuff around, and I was like, a stack of magazines that I don't even open anymore. Where is this going to go? Right into the trash. I'm sorry, recycle. I recycled, I swear to God.
So defensive of himself immediately.
Right. So I just there's nothing as far as print media goes that I can't find someplace else faster just on my phone or through my computer or something. So I don't find that print media, and print media is so wasteful at the same time at this point. If you want to be conservationally minded, there's so much waste that goes into creating print media, and just having it digital is better for everyone all around.
Yeah, that's why they're doing it.
I didn't say that. I was just pointing out one of the benefits.
Well, you can argue that digital media has similar effects on the environment if you want to talk about the energy that it takes to create storage, and but
Yeah, there was a
different
interesting study
conversation.
done about that. Like if you just send like text, like the hi or the emoji or the whatever, and the amount of energy just a small text takes back and forth, and then bazillions of those, it's actually more harmful to the planet than print media ever would have been.
You're right. Let's just burn down the freaking Amazon rainforest while we're at it.
Bitcoin's worse. Bitcoin, that's such a fad
Yeah.
now, and that just consumes so many resources. It's ridiculous.
I don't think it's a fad. That's not going away anytime soon.
Maybe not.
NFT, now that might be a fad.
That might be a
I
fad.
hope that's a fad. I'm just tired of hearing
I do
about
not understand that concept at all.
it. I own a picture.
I own a lot of pictures.
My ticket to the
I'm sure you do, John.
Packers 49ers is an NFT, and I'm like, great, I have an NFT to be reminded of how shitty that game was.
Yeah. Congratulations, you won. I remember growing up as a kid, and not even as a kid, as an adult. I mean, as a younger adult. Fangoria, I used to love reading Fangoria, just because they'd show you the effects and stuff and of horror movies and stuff. I used to read Variety. Variety used to actually have a magazine. I think they ceased that a long time ago too. Hollywood Reporter, and then I loved entertainment magazines, but Entertainment Weekly was always the staple. Like, that was the one where I had a ton of memories because I read that every single week and never missed an issue. And I remember when I stopped reading them, even though I still have been getting them for years. I haven't read one in probably 2 or 3 years, honestly, and I get it every month. Like, I keep renewing like an idiot, and I never look at it. I just, kind of one of those things where people might come over and then, you got Entertainment Weekly, but you already know everything that's in there now. So it's the end of an era, and I think it's kind of sad because I kind of miss that quiet time to ingest that information, as opposed to now how we all kind of feel like we have to know it right this second. And if somebody says that a trailer's out, we have to go watch it immediately. And there's already freaking videos on YouTube of somebody reacting to it, so you get that feedback where you get the dissection of it immediately. I mean, everything's immediate now. So it's sad. I mean, I really miss that relax, sit down, read through it, quiet time, kind of you get a chance to reflect on it. I don't think we have that anymore. It's just all go, go, go. 1.5 times speed.
It's called podcasts. That's what podcasts are for.
True.
You mentioned Fangoria, and that's the one print magazine that I still get. They went out of print for a while, and they started a second round a couple of years ago. But it's sort of designed as a collector's edition. They're really high grade stock, and the pictures are glossy, and all the articles are sort of long form and
like
a little
pieces?
more. A bit, yeah. So you can sit down and it'll take you 10 or 15 minutes to read a full article, but it kind of is a throwback to what you're talking about. It's a quiet moment. You're sitting and reading something physically, and it's kind of nice. But it only it's 4 issues a year as opposed to a weekly magazine. So
Still on web.
it has that going for it. Yeah.
Is it still very focused on horror movies specifically, or is it just special effects? Are they branched out in any way?
When they first renewed it, they still had the here's how you can, make your own pencil through an eyeball sort of thing. More recently, they'll do interviews with up-and-coming filmmakers and established folks. I think there was one where they had Jordan Peele interviewing Ari Aster. So they'll have directors and writers interviewing one another. But it's still more horror and thriller and genre focused.
I love that new concept of actors on actors, directors on directors, where they're interviewing, because they ask the questions that I feel like don't get asked enough. Interesting questions that are actually more outside the box and really about what they do, as opposed to, so can you tell me what's coming up? Well, all I can do is tell you that, which they can't tell you anything. So it's just a waste of your time. So it's amazing when you get those pieces.
Yeah, some of them are fascinating, but just as fascinating is you can tell when the interviewer, when it's a well-known director and they'll ask a question, but then they'll sort of answer their own question. You're like, oh, they're just kind of a dick. So it's a little insight.
If you don't
there.
do it this way, you're obviously doing it wrong. That is sad. What a seriously an end of an era. I mean, I guess as podcasters, we should probably be happy about it. Like, haha, more people listening to a podcast. And well, there's plenty of podcasts too. So everything will phase out eventually. It feels like too quick, too immediate. We just need things too fast now. Just relax. When I went on vacation last week, I actually cracked open a book and sat down and read a book for the first time in forever. I didn't even take my phone most of the week. Like, I barely have my phone with me. And I think it's the most relaxed I've been in eons.
That makes me think of how great it's going to be on the Ho Cruise 2023 when we are all running around on a boat without our phones because we're on a boat and we're just taking pictures and having a good time and getting smashed and talking about movies or not talking about movies. You know what? If you're interested in the Ho Cruise 2023, hit us up because we'll tell you how to get on that.
Okay. It's cruise@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Weird freaking segue. That's John. That's what John does. That's what he does on a boat too. He just starts getting weird.
If you can find me.
Yeah. Well, Stan, thanks for joining us, and I appreciate you bringing up. That was a great topic, and I think this is a pretty good topic overall. There's a lot of wrong in the world. It's about time we start admitting it.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's always a blast.
Was it a blast, John?
No.
Troy, did you have a blast?
I feel like I got a checkup. It's awesome.
Does that mean you feel like Stan stuck his finger up your ass? Is that what John was going to say?
What, a proctology exam?
That's
What's going on?
That's all a checkup consists of. It's just coming in for the finger.
That's what my doctor said. Am I going to the wrong doctor? Son of a bitch! It's awkward. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode. Remember, the next time you head to a theater or stream comfortably from your couch because you don't want to go outside to the movie theater, buy popcorn. Seriously, go to the movie theater.
Now recording us.
Now you're gonna edit out anything inappropriate or racy, yeah, John, from video. We're gonna do video.
Well, yeah. I mean, anything that looks too bad, I'm going to cut out, but most of it's going to be pretty raw.
So, what's the purpose of the video? Is it?
John likes to masturbate to our faces. It's really weird, but
everybody has their
with
thing.
a small penis.
With a small penis, it's like it's really small motions like this. Wait, sorry, that was the index finger was too much. It's actually that one.
Yeah.
No, we had a pretty huge reaction to the Alan Ritchson video, and we typically have put just audio on YouTube, but we're going to try video. I think we've done it a couple times before. But
we've done it a couple times, and we've gotten a better response out of the video. We got more views out of video than we did just putting the audio out there. It's like, it's a difference of like 80 to 90 people watching it to 10.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're at 47,000 on the Alan Ritchson video.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we jumped up by a couple.
We didn't make money off it. Don't get too excited. But you never know.
I'm just saying we just got a lot of viewers out of it, a lot of new followers on it. So I thought we'd try to capitalize on it and see what else we can do with it and see what happens. Right?
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
It'll be a fun topic. So if you guys are ready, we can start rolling. We're already recording.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
We got 10,000 views on the Blacklist finale. It's not 47,000.
I was literally timing how long it was going to be before you mentioned it. I was timing it. Are we ready?
No.
Okay.
I just want to listen to this go on for a little while longer.
Hey, he's the one they call Dr. Feelgood, so.
Dun, 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 dun.
Make you feel all right.
Jigsaw Jenny, he's running the gang. You think he's doing all right. Just a quick little jab.
Okay, so now that we did the rap
Mexican
version of the Super Bowl halftime show, can we do the Headbangers version of the Super Bowl halftime show and bring back like...
Yeah, let's have
all
Vince
the
Neil
80s?
out there wheezing. That would be a great time. Okay, are you guys ready? John's rolling his eyes.
That's just my brain working.
Fair enough.
Can
All
you
right,
actually
or not.
hear me?
Roll your
Even
eyes.
your
Your
hear
eyes?
me?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the echo
It's like
was
marbles banging around in there in that empty space.
the echo was prevalent.
Sort of a squishy sound.
Yeah.
God damn it.